Once you start using a steamer, you ask yourself how you ever functioned without one. But if you haven't used one before and you've been considering, it can feel intimidating. After all, it shoots hot steam. How are you supposed to know how to use it? So in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about steaming. By the end of it, you're going to be able to steam your clothes and other things around your house like a pro. And I'll also tell you the difference between steaming and ironing so you never make that mistake again. When you're choosing a steamer to use at home, you can obviously get those really large ones that you see at the mall. I personally don't want to store one of those in my house, so I have opted for a small handheld model, and I will drop a few of them in the description box down below that I am truly a fan of. Now, a few things that I recommend you look for in a handheld steamer. You want one that is easy to fill, so this bottom pops out and in very easily. You want one that has a continuous steam button so that you don't have to constantly press and move your hand at the same time. That can sort of get tiring. And the other thing I really like to see is a good sole plate, okay? And the sole plate is essentially what you have on an iron. So it means if steaming isn't quite doing the trick, you can kind of hold the steamer right up to the garment and you get a little bit of ironing action. Two other things to look for. You want one that has good high pressure. Typically, when you spend a little bit more money, you're gonna get a better quality machine, so always keep in mind that you get what you pay for, and you want to find one that comes with attachments. This is a lint brush. This also allows you to use your handheld steamer on fabric, and this is a delicates attachment. That's gonna be really important if you plan to use your steamer to treat delicate items that you have at home. The setup for steaming is simple. You need a sturdy surface where you can hang your garment so that you can gently tug it and move it around. There are a few different options you'll see scattered here around my bedroom. First and foremost, if you're a freak like me and have a tripod in your room, you can actually use a tripod for that purpose. Now that's because we film YouTube videos professionally and have like 6 tripods floating around the house. But let's say that's not you. You can get your drying rack, just like what I have here. You can put it up as high as it'll go, and you can use that for steaming. Some people even have drying racks that flip out of their wall and tuck back in. Those are terrific for streaming and steaming, I guess. And you can also pick up a hook from the dollar store or a hardware store, just one of those removable hooks that hang over the top of your door. It's inexpensive and it works really well. Now, in some steamer circles, there's a hot debate as to whether or not you should use distilled water. I'll clear it up for you. If the instructions for your machine say to use distilled water, use distilled water. Or if you live in an area with hard water, you can use distilled water in your steamer as well. If you have regular water, you can just use tap water. Now, the reason you want to use distilled water is because if you have hard water, after you've used the benefit of the water, what gets left behind are mineral deposits. They kind of look like white flakes. They're pretty gross and they can clog up your machine over time. So you could use tap water if you lived in an area with hard water, or you could eschew those instructions altogether, but you're going to get buildup and your machine's not going to work as well. So distilled water if it says so, or if you live in an area with hard water. Otherwise, tap water should do. Steamers generally work the same way, but it's worth spending a minute or two skimming the instructions to make sure you understand how your particular unit works. In general, you're going to fill up the reservoir with water, plug it in. You'll attach any attachments before the steam starts generating if you need them. Otherwise, the machine should be fine just as is. And once you get the green light, if your machine turns a green light on, it means it's ready to go. What I like to do before I steam is to activate it and just let it go for a minute. The reason this is important is because the last time you steamed, a little bit of water got left behind in the system and it might sputter at the beginning. So in order for you to get a nice consistent stream, just let it run for a minute and then you can get down to work. Okay, so this shirt's definitely got some wrinkles in it, and what you want to start with is one section. You don't want to do like an overall steam. You kind of want to think of your shirt or your garment in sections, and you want to work section by section. And just like in cleaning, we're going to work from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to get my steamer going. It's ready. And I'm going to hold the garment taut down at the bottom, and I'm just going to gently work my way up and down, section by section. If there's a particularly tough wrinkle, you can actually hold it over this section for several seconds, even up to 30. The idea is the steamer is going to shoot steam into the fibers, it's going to help relax them and release wrinkles and odors. And what I like to do for the sleeve is I kind of like to stick my hand in there. Obviously, I will move it when I get down to the cuff, but it kind of helps spread things out a little bit. And I'll work slowly, section by section, top to bottom, holding it over any specific areas if it's rather difficult. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if your steamer has a sole plate on it like mine does, you can kind of hold your sole plate, which acts like an iron, right up to the garment itself. And you can kind of cheat a little bit. This adorable shirt is what I would consider a delicate. Now, Chad wasn't so happy when I brought a white shirt out because it can be hard to see the wrinkles on them, but you just gotta trust me on this one. It's got wrinkles and it's delicate. So in that case, I'm gonna use the delicate attachment for my steamer. I'm just gonna pop that on before I activate the steam. And what this does is it separates the sole plate from the fabric so that it doesn't scorch. Now, anytime you're gonna be using steam on a delicate garment, you wanna make sure you test it in an inconspicuous area first. So what would I do? I'd probably do something right here on the side. Like, who's gonna see that? You know, I would do a little test and I'd say, is this puckering? Is this gonna ruin my shirt? Give it a minute. And I'd look and I'd be like, I think we're good to go. And then I would continue steaming. So again, you see I'm working section by section, holding the garment taut. Now, if you hold it too tight, you can actually form a crease as you're steaming into it, which would really suck and be a huge waste of your time. So try not to do that. That's why I think with steaming, what's so important is to constantly be moving your garment. And again, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking to get rid of wrinkles. Just another quick thing I want to mention, once you finish your steaming, your garment's going to feel wet for a couple minutes. So just let it dry and settle before you put it on, or else the wrinkles will reform quickly. A steamer can be great to work out wrinkles in items that are difficult to iron or items that you don't require a crease in. I also find they don't work well on stubborn fabrics like linen, that shirt, or even thick cotton shirts like this one. Steamers never work for me. So if you find that you've used a steamer on a garment and it is just not getting them wrinkle free, you're gonna have to go up to the iron. What an iron can do is not only use steam and moisture to loosen wrinkles, but it can also use pressure. And when you're pressing a heavy iron, again, this is not plugged in, by the way, against an ironing board, the pressure combined with the heat and the steam really eliminates wrinkles. I mean, if you've ever used an iron, it's an annoying job, but it is quite satisfying at the end because you get perfectly flat stuff. Now this would be great for a thick garment. For example, this to me is an iron-only shirt. Also, if you're one of those people that likes to iron your linens, your napkins, sheets, like that stuff has to be pressed. By the way, ironing and pressing, they're kind of used interchangeably. Essentially what you're saying is you want it pressed completely flat and wrinkle-free. Also, if you need a perfectly done collar, cuff, or crease, you're gonna need to pull out your iron. This video is actually inspired by what we've been doing over on Amazon. We've been doing live events there, and you can actually follow us on Amazon. I'll give you a link down below, and you can see what we're doing. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like live cleaning and shopping. It's interactive, so you can actually ask questions as we're live streaming. And I talk about different cleaning topics. So we did a whole one on steaming and ironing. I talked about a variety of different steamers that I used. I threw in a bunch of techniques as well. And it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions live, especially about a particular product or a concern that you're having, and then I can make recommendations there on the spot. Anyway, join us there on Amazon. It's lots of fun, and I hope to see you there. Let me know in the comments down below if you're on Team Steam or Team Iron. I think I steam way more than I iron, so I'm going with the former. And that reminds me, we have a great video on ironing. It's right over here. You can go check it out to learn how to do. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe to the Clean My Space channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.